Hello everybody, it's Laura Husband here from Hairdressers Journal International. Welcome to another week, Monday the 26th of October, and this morning we've got our current British Hairdressing Business Awards Independent Business Newcomer of the Year winners. That's a mouthful of an award to receive. We've got Noel Halligan and Corey Taylor from Noco Hair, and they're going to be giving us their insights into growing a new salon business during a pandemic and beyond. So Noel and Corey, it's absolutely fabulous to have you with us today. And I guess, shall we just kick off with you both telling us a little bit about yourselves and your journey from starting a new business and trying to develop it during these difficult times?
Cool. You want to go first, Corey?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so I mean, me and Noel worked together for a number of years at Sean Hannah, a really fantastic salon. That's where I did my L'Oreal colour specialist training and really started to grow as a stylist. Met some fantastic people and really honed in on the hairdressing side of stuff. Fast forward to deciding to take the plunge to open a business. Yeah, I mean, we came across a lot of hurdles along the way. Every single point there was like a bit of a knockback as we went, but lots of bravery, really. Like I said, Sean Hannah was where we really honed in on our hair side of things, and having the salon and COVID has taught us how to be good business owners. So that's that, really.
Amazing. And Noel, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you, Laura and Jane, for giving us this opportunity to speak. I mean, this is part of a life goal to be in a position of influence within our industry. I mean, there's so many great hairdressers and business owners, and to be here feels like a real honor. So thank you for that. Yeah, so like Corey said, we worked together at a salon in town before with Sean, and things went really well. We kind of decided that we were going to do our own thing. So we set up on our own, probably it was just the right time, to be honest, just before we managed to get some momentum before COVID hit. We're really good at planning, setting goals, moving forwards, and you'll hear throughout this conversation how we planned. I'm a person who gets the big, hairy, audacious goal, sees it from the future. Corey likes to plan forwards. The issue with planning forwards is that nobody could have predicted COVID.
Of course, yeah.
So from that point of view, there was probably the biggest learning that we learned is control what you can control and don't worry about the things that you can't control. And so COVID was out of our control, so there's no point worrying about it for a start. So we'll concentrate on the stuff that we can. And we're just really serving one haircut, one smile at a time, really. It's just keeping it happy, keeping it fun, and keeping it creative, really. So yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
And we're super excited to have you with us today as our British Hairdressing Business Awards winners. And we know that you've got lots of expertise and insights to share with us. So maybe if we just rewind a little bit for anyone who's tuning in and might well be a hairdresser contemplating the idea of becoming a salon owner, or indeed a relatively new salon owner during these difficult times, would you be able to share with us any tips or expertise that you've learned from making that transition from being hairdressers on the salon floor to being co-owners of a salon business?
Yeah, do you want me to take this one, Corey?
Yeah, go on. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think the first thing to look at is have no ego. Like having an ego and thinking you can do everything the best you'll be the best at everything that you do is a foolish way of thinking. So I think the cleverest thing to do would be to surround yourself with people who are cleverer than you, who are experts in your field, and pay them how they need to be paid, and respect other people's industries, because once you've got the best people working for you and putting 100% effort in as they do, that's going to have a knock-on effect to your business. My number one tip really throughout all of this is to and after COVID was the main thing would be to look after yourself more than you look after your business, in a way, which seems like the strongest way. So I mean, you can literally put 7 days a week, you can be working 80, 90, 100 hours a week and not necessarily seeing any growth. If you kind of, I mean, you've got the obvious things where you eat well, and go to the gym, that's great. I think the consistency of going and doing a little bit of exercise every day rather than going once a week and spending 4 hours in the gym, like maybe 20 minutes 3 times a week, will make a massive difference to how you feel. But also investing and looking after yourself, and not necessarily wishing things were different, but wishing that you were better. So by reading and just studying success, not necessarily from hairdressing. I mean, we do that with hairdressing. We look at the top hairdressers in the UK. We also look at other industries, and from that, when you start asking the right questions, you start networking within your local community, and from the networking, you just get this real support bubble. You become a key person of influence. So my key thing would be that you surround yourself with people who are better than you, take your ego out of it, and concentrate on the best bang for your buck when you understand what that is, and whether that's actually cutting hair, coaching somebody, marketing, whatever. But just stick to your one field, but surround yourself with people who are probably better than you in other areas.
Brilliant. I'm going to ask Corey to touch on something to do with that as well in a second, but I just wanted to say thank you to Colin, who said, "Good morning. I admire anybody opening a salon at the very moment. Good luck and stay positive." So Corey, from chats that I've had with both you and Noel beforehand, I know that you're both in that transition of moving from being on the salon floor all of the time to sort of seeing yourselves as more kind of business owners. How is that transition going, and where did you start from, and where have you got to now, and what's the next step for anyone in a similar situation who wants to transition from the comfort zone, which is, you know, being stood behind a client doing their hair, and maybe the slightly more difficult zone of being that salon owner?
Yeah, definitely. So when we first opened, it was just me and Noel. We were just, you know, Noel's a fantastic stylist. I love colour. So we're like dream team together. It all actually was started off from when we won the L'Oreal Colour Trophy. It was the first time we realised we worked really well together as hairdressers. When we first opened in November 2018, we realised we maybe needed just one extra pair of hands just to assist and answer the phone, and someone that we could kind of coach on board a little bit, but we obviously didn't know what was going to happen at the very beginning. We kind of bought ourselves a job in a nice way, and everyone kind of says like, "Oh, like, you know, you're so good, you should do this for yourself. Like, why do you do this for someone else?" And you're always told that, and then actually the reality of having a business is completely different. So yeah, starting off just the two of us, really. We've grown our team now, so we've got nine employees. We're a team of 11, including us. We've grown bit by bit, and at each stage we've had to develop and evolve as people. So obviously in the beginning, just being hairdressers, we look after our clients, we cut the hair, we go home, and that's kind of it. But then you've got, you know, your overheads to think about, and you've got now a team of people to think about, and then you've got COVID to think about, and you've got all these scenarios and situations. But actually thinking ahead and thinking long term, we can't provide the same opportunities to our team and to deliver the same standard of service to our clients if it's solely reliant on me and Noel producing that. There's only a certain amount of people that we can look after in our days. So actually by building the team and having more time to put into developing them and coming up with new concepts and new ideas is how we can make sure that the business is stronger and more successful. And yeah, just it can kind of pivot in times like this. If we were still on the shop floor 5 days a week, we'd have no brain energy left to put into coming up with new concepts and helping the team where they need it. So we started off 5 days a week on the shop floor and 2 days a week trying to do all the business admin, life admin. I don't think unless you're a business owner, you really understand how much goes on behind the scenes. Our team, I don't think really understand. They get a glimpse of a spreadsheet and they think, whoa, gosh, you do that as well. But yeah, so we started off as that, and then we've kind of started to take a bit of a step back as we're going off of the shop floor so that we can spend more time working on the business rather than in it. We kind of dropped it down bit by bit. So we dropped one day. We started working with a business coach, Jessica Crane from Systemize for Success, and that was the first time that we really thought, actually, do you know what? This is the first bit of taking a step back. And then as time's continued and gone on, we realised we do need a bit of an exit plan so that we're not reliant on us cutting hair to support the business. And yeah, the plan moving forward would be for us to continue that so that we can put more time into working on the business and developing our lovely team, really.
Amazing. So it's kind of, you've got a process in place and you're not going cold turkey. It's kind of one step at a time.
That's it, exactly.
Which is fantastic. And I guess, and your business will be next month, won't it? Which is fantastic. So it'll be 2 years old. Anyone tuning in, obviously they might be curious to know why you won the British Hairdressing Business Awards Independent Business Newcomer of the Year in 2019. So maybe both of you or either of you might want to explain why you think you won that as New Business of the Year, so that others tuning in could think, oh, maybe that's something I could do as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that the key thing is not to get in your own way. I think Noel was touching on this a little bit earlier about putting yourself first, because if you look after yourself, the business will look after itself to a certain extent. So don't be the thing that stops you from doing what you want to do. I never would have thought that a year into opening the salon we would have won such an amazing award, but we did it. And looking back, it's like, oh wow, that was a big deal. That is still a big deal to us. I think for us from the beginning, we went in with the intention of being bigger than we were. We're two normal human beings opening a salon with big ideas and just wanting to do great hair. That was what it kind of started as. And then when we got the salon, we wanted it to be the biggest and the best thing that it could be. So we didn't go in we looked at lots of small salons with 4 stations, and that would have just been the 2 of us for a long time. But we kind of wanted to be a brand, and we wanted to be for Noco Hair to be a thing, not just the 2 of us. We've got this different dynamic with our relationship, that Noel is very good at creating new ideas and having the vision for the future, and then I'm quite good at putting systems in place to kind of bring it from the blue sky down to reality and make it actually work. And I think that's what's helped us, is having these visions and these ideas and a goal of something bigger, and then actually putting our money where our mouth is and making things work. But yeah, just having a bit of belief really, and choosing faith over fear, and yeah, going for it is my thing.
Definitely. And Noel, I mean, you guys, from a kind of a business perspective, from the conversations I've had with you both, you get your inspiration from all sorts of places outside of the industry as well as inside of the industry. So would you be able to maybe talk to us a little bit about where you what inspires you from a business perspective and where you get those business ideas from?
Yeah, I mean, there's inspiration everywhere you look. I mean, look right now, you might think that restaurants are in trouble, but they're coming up with some creative ideas on how to do stuff. There's a book which I haven't actually got with me, but there's a guy called Danny Myers who owns a chain of restaurants which are around the world now called Shake Shack. Pretty famous restaurant, and he's just floated on the stock exchange for how many billion. Wonderful, great guy. His book is called Setting the Table, I think it's called, and it's all about his creative ideas. Because I mean, how can you make a normal restaurant look like something special? Or why would someone go to that restaurant when there's 2 restaurants next to each other? Why would one go to one rather than the other? And a lot of it comes down to what can we give rather than just getting. Like, it's not, being in business isn't about just receiving, it's about giving. So when COVID hit, we kind of knew that, say you got a bank of 1,000 clients, for example, July comes round, we know we can fit about 1,000 clients into that month. August looks like it's probably going to be a bit quiet. Like we guessed that it would be quiet, and then they start filtering back in September. So one of the things I got from Danny Myers was he gave away 100 free meals, I think, to poor people in America and New York. I thought, well, what about if July's quiet, why don't we give away 100 free haircuts? And I was like, wow, 100 free haircuts.
Was that for August when you?
For August, yeah.
Quieter.
So there's obviously charities have been hit a lot, and one of our big core passions and our reason why we come to work is so we want to help people live well with cancer. We work well with a company called a charity called Penny Bron, and they've literally been hit by, like, not just pounds, like up to millions of pounds of like donations. I mean, I run a lot. The London Marathon wasn't on this year. There's just a massive chunk of money that they don't get, but we knew July was going to be quiet anyway, so it's like, why don't we give away 100 free haircuts? So let's just do it, and we'll give them 10 local Bristol charities, and they can do whatever they like with them. So they can offer them off to the employee of the month, whoever's worked well through lockdown, or give them to a beneficiary of the charity, or just raffle them off to make some money. So we gave them away. And realistically, with the law of reciprocity or givers gain or whatever you call it, that was 100 free clients, new clients through the door. The charities put us onto their social media, shared it around, and all of a sudden you become a pillar of your community. So like it was amazing, like just to do that. And actually really it filled up our utilization. Busy salons get busier. So once you got a bum on a seat, other people are attracted to it. They go away to tell their friends about it. And also the charities really benefit. So it's a win-win situation, really. So if I hadn't read that book, Setting the Table by Danny Myers, I would never have come up with that inspiration. So my main inspiration for business is probably seminars, online. I mean, there's never been a better time to look online and learn stuff. I mean, even what you've that's what I said thank you at the beginning, because we've learned a lot from watching you guys doing this type of thing. So to be here now is amazing. But I'd say that 100 haircuts thing is a top tip. So if any of you've got a salon or you want to do something that's special within your community, give and you will receive, because it really has worked well for us.
That's fantastic. And I love what you said there about the law of attraction as well. The more bums you had on seats in August when it was a slightly quieter month, the more you were going to keep getting more people in your salon, because they'd be hearing about it through social media, especially through the charities. And the people that, if you give something to somebody for free, they'll really appreciate that, won't they? And will want to shout about it.
Yeah, it is. It's momentum. We wanted to keep the momentum. Obviously, we went from a standing start to July to a sprint, and then all of a sudden, from speaking to other salon owners, it completely dropped off in August. But it did drop off for us, but it managed to maintain a little bit of momentum. And the marketing side of things, the magazines wanted to put it in there. We were in the Bristol magazine. Local marketing was fantastic from it. So yeah, it was a good thing to do all around.
100%. That's a great idea. And Scott Fleming, who's tuning in, said, "Morning guys, just opened in November 2019, building the salon, but in a very challenging time. Thank you so much for the insights." So thank you for joining us, Scott.
Yeah, Scott.
So I think we could literally build people's Christmas lists based on the amount of insightful books and ideas that you guys have got. So should we maybe talk? You touched on the first bit, which I know you didn't have in front of you, but I know both of you have got a few books that you would really like to share with others to help them be inspired to create new initiatives within the salon. So should we maybe tap into where your inspiration is coming from a book perspective, and people can get their notepads and pens out and put it on their Christmas wish list?
I don't think we've ever read so many books. From throughout the whole of lockdown and ever since. And I'm one for reading a book from start to finish, and Noel have 3 on the go at the same time. So we like information overload. But yeah, we're gonna have to have a bookcase in the salon because we've got so many. We've got a couple. We share the books. We share them with the team as well, and the information that we've got from them. We started off with. During lockdown, actually, we started with another coach, a high performance coach, Gary Keaton. And one of the first things that we did was something called disc profiling, where you color code your personality. And there's lots of different versions of this, but there's a book associated with it, Surrounded by Idiots. And it's all to do with your different kind of your personalities and your traits and stuff like that. And understanding that just because someone doesn't think the way that you think doesn't make them an idiot, and it doesn't make you an idiot for not thinking the same way as them. So when you're in a partnership, or when you've got a team of people around you that you're communicating with on a day-to-day basis, understanding what it is that they need from you. So that's really, really good. And from a team performance perspective, knowing what someone needs to get the best out of them is really, really ideal.
We needed that one. Sorry, Corey, to interrupt. We needed that one in particular, really badly, because we do, although we've got the goals, and this is what I think would be really difficult for any business owner trying to do it themselves. We've got somebody who looks at spreadsheets and somebody who looks at a blank page, and it's very difficult to go from a spreadsheet to a blank page and have to create something. I did it the other day when I was doing some Excel stuff, and then I had to go to bed and I was thinking about our next marketing campaign. So I just can't do it. What I've got these numbers going on. What if I put that formula there? What if I did that formula? It's very difficult to flip between the two. And you're having this conversation, but if you are lucky enough to have 2 of you, and one of you can concentrate on the vision and one of you can concentrate on the spreadsheets, you're likely to have conflict. because one of you will say you can do it and the other one say you can't because this. I need to see it. One of you sees a vision and one of you is a realist, or sometimes accused of being a hole poker in ideas, but that's the same. So so actually being surrounded by idiots book, if you have, like, one of the main things would be that you understand yourself, and if you're going to be a business owner, you've got to understand yourself before you understand other people. Surrounded by idiots is fantastic way of putting you into 4 categories. You generally be part of one of them, but when you understand yourself a lot more, you can understand the other person. And when we go into meetings and stuff now, Corey and myself, although we see eye to eye, we can understand why they're thinking in that way, which really helps.
So would you recommend that book especially for anyone who's tuning in who has a salon that they co-own with somebody else, for kind of making sure you get that partnership going in the right way?
That one. And is it Traction you've got there by you, Noel? So like Noel touched upon, the visionary and the integrator. I think a lot of that is drummed into there. And also one called Rocket Fuel, I believe it's by the same person. But
who's that one by? Who
Gino, someone?
Oh, sorry, it's Gino Wickman. So he's got a whole series of books, the Traction books. So if you read this one first, and then they'll say, I think Rocket Fuel, for example, it will say, you'll read this if you are a visionary and you're working with an integrator. It basically leads you on to the next one, but this is a really, really good book for to start off with, because not only does it helps you with your belief, but it also helps with business strategies, how you manage your meetings. Yeah, they say McDonald's is the biggest small company in the world, and we've basically set ourselves up like that. So with the organizational chart that's in here, so you've got your vision, your shareholders, your visionary, your integrator, and then your operations manager is set up. You can do it in a salon of 4 or 5 people, exactly the same way that McDonald's do it, who's a massive company. So as the company grows, the team at the top stays the same. But this is fantastic, isn't it, Corey?
Yeah, definitely. And so I think on the inside there's like a list of 3 or 4 other books that are associated with that. And that's where it's got the difference between a visionary and an integrator. And that links quite well with Surrounded by Idiots and the personality traits. Because if you've got 2 people, one that's a risk taker and then one that runs away from risks, when you're in a business together, it's actually being able to take emotion, ego and feelings out of it and look at it as what's best for the business and make your decisions on that. Really understanding yourself and the people that you're working with, and just making sure that you can just understand what's going on in the business and keep the communication clear throughout. Because it's very easy to let emotion take over. So once you can sort out the fact and the thought. So the thought sometimes is just a thought. I don't know if anyone's ever done meditation, but if you sit there and you close your eyes for 10 minutes or whatever, the thought will come into your head, but because it's in your head, you think it's real. Actually, it's not always real. It's just something that's come into your head. So you need to sift that out between the fact and the thought. And so when somebody comes up to you at a very fast pace and says something, the thought can sometimes ambush the fact. And you've got to be very, very careful that you're not listening to that. And we can actually we break it down to the facts and make our decision from there. Like now we're having a conversation with you, Laura. You're having a conversation with Noco Hair. We're not having the conversation with Corey and what she believes and Noel what he believes, and this craziness and start an argument. It's actually, no, your client is Noco Hair. We're having this conversation, and this is the problem. We stand side by side the problem, and then we try and fix the problem, not fix the argument. But what if this and blah 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 blah. We've fallen into that, but through reading the books, we're learning how to understand each other in a way that it's much better to look at the problem rather than look at the person.
Brilliant. Well, I guess we should probably tap into the fact that obviously you are 2 very separate individual people with different ways of looking at things. And for others that are tuning in, what advice would you give to those that do work in a 2-person partnership from a salon owner perspective, and how you can bring your different elements and strengths and weaknesses together to create a much stronger force for running the salon? Yeah,
so I guess you're always taught to treat others how you would want to be treated, and actually that's a load of rubbish, because different people need different things. So you want to treat people with kindness and respect and to be nice to them, but actually if you're if I'm trying to put an idea across, or if you came to us with an idea, I'd need all the information, I need every bit of knowledge from it possible, and Noel needs the excitement. So when we're communicating with each other, we need to be aware of how we think and what we need from one another, but also what we're giving to the other. So the key things for us, obviously, communication and respect, the key things at the top of any partnership. It's like a marriage. It's like, this is what it is. A marriage with kids. And it can't be, you know, mum says no, go and ask dad. Dad says no, go and ask mum. It's like Noel said, we are Noco Hair. These are our beliefs. These are our values. And it gets filtered down from the top, and we can work through that. We understand now over the last few months that we are very different. And obviously something like a blooming global pandemic is going to push you to your limits. And we're both our personalities have come out more so, you know, risk taker, risk averse. So I can completely understand the panic that people go through and everything I see on social media. But then I'm really grateful that I've got someone that can see the bigger picture and see the end in sight. So I'm really glad and grateful that there's two of us, because I don't have to have the two sides of the business in my own head at all times. We can get it out of us. But yeah, my advice to other people, if you are in a partnership, look at the problem, not the person. Don't look at what someone else is saying. If Noel can't look at it and say, no, we can't do that because Corey said no, and I can't say, yeah, that's fine because, you know, Noel said yes. Like, you look at it for what it is, and then you find a way to make it work. Yeah, understanding yourself, understanding whatever you're doing is for the greater good of the business and everyone that's involved in it. So yeah, that's that.
Great advice there, Corey. And we tapped a little bit in, obviously, the pandemic and lockdown and everything does keep cropping up. So I guess we should talk a little bit about what you both and what Noco Hair learned from lockdown from a business perspective, and how you've taken those learnings with you moving forwards into this kind of these difficult times we're living in at the moment. But obviously, depending on where you are in the country, some salons can still open. So what learnings have you taken with you from lockdown from a business perspective that you could share with others?
Well, one of the main things is that in a crisis, there's always opportunity. So I think I heard somebody saying the other day that if you watched the news once a week, you wouldn't be fed all this like bad negativity all the time. If you because we're in a world now where we've got rolling news, it's constantly on. It's on BBC app. I mean, I'm always flicking onto the BBC app. I'm trying to disconnect from that, to be honest. But you're constantly hearing bad stuff going on. There's pandemic. Someone's, I don't know, the terrorists, all this stuff going on, and it can really make you feel quite bad. So by checking in on that less and not being controlled by circumstance, control the controllables, and literally just sometimes go back to basics. Like I said earlier, one haircut, one smile at a time. Make sure the team are happy. We've got a wonderful team. The main thing is that we're giving more than we get, and that we're reading and we're working on ourselves more than the business. Once you start working on yourself more than the business, you can start seeing the business grow and flourish, and you start seeing the opportunities in the crisis. Like I said, the haircut thing was, the 100 haircuts was just absolutely fantastic. That was an opportunity. Nobody else did it. We got 100 people through the door. And then we've got TV opportunities, we've got magazine opportunities, we get things like this, and you can win British Hairdressing Awards. So first of all, try and see the opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, but at the same time, there's a lot of good going on in the world. I mean, some of the stuff that people have been doing, sharing on social media, has been amazing. But I'd say the main thing that we learned was to give more than you get.
Brilliant. And obviously, as a partnership, and from speaking to you, you both use lockdown to invest in the business and to invest money and time in coaches and in reading, in podcasts. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that as well, for anyone who's tuning in and maybe is unfortunately having to close at the moment, how they could use this time wisely.
Yeah, definitely. So we, at the very beginning, when lockdown was like, okay, this is imminent, this is definitely going to happen, both of us had this mindset of, okay, well, it's fine because it will come and it will go. We don't know how long it will go on for, but it's fine. And always almost planning for what position do we want to be in when we come out of it on the other side. And then the time that we had, so Salon was closed for 14 weeks. And what can we do now to strengthen the business, and what needs to be done, looking it kind of gave us a chance to reflect on what we'd done so far in the business and almost rebooted it. It was like Noco version 2, like opening another salon, and what could we put in place, and what would the ideal team look like, and what systems would we have in place, and maybe, for example, looking back at strategies and things that we'd have policies in the past, and how can we really refocus it with all the new knowledge, thinking of it as business owners. We kind of went into lockdown as hairdressers and came out as real business minded people. That was actually when we joined Action Coach, because the thing that triggered it was survive and thrive, and that was it. That was the only option. So we're going to come out of this, and we're not only going to survive and just make it through by the skin of our teeth, we're going to really, this is going to be the best thing for us. And choosing that mentality, you can't think good and bad thoughts at the same time. And like Noel said, with everything in the news constantly, and every client wants to talk about it, which I completely get, it's very easy to go into a bit of a state of panic with stuff. But being able to have, so we've got 3 coaches. We've got a mindset coach, we've got a industry specific coach, and then we've got a high performance coach. So we've literally got it from all angles, so we can tune our minds in to focusing on ourselves and our goals, and making sure that we're in the right frame of mind to deal with whatever life throws us. We've got Jess that with all the industry knowledge and, you know, anything that's going on in other salons and how they're dealing with it. And then we've got our high performance coach that's always looking for the bigger thing and the next thing. And I think that's key, looking past current circumstance, and obviously making sure you're doing what you need to do today, but that you're always working for what's going to come. So like so during lockdown, we invested a lot into marketing. We've got a team of 5 different people that are on our marketing team. So we've got branding, SEO, local and national PR, and social media all covered with, because these are people that know more about those things than we do. So like Noel touched on earlier, we're not experts in that, but actually marketing is a really big part of any business. So yeah, the main thing, hairdressing or not, business is business, and if you want to make something successful, then there's a lot to it, a lot to be learned, and we're just learning every day, really.
Brilliant. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that one, Noel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a million and one coaches out there, and there's a lot of people who've read a book and then they start coaching. I've got a kind of issue with that type of thing. So before everyone goes out and just gets a coach, just like do a bit of due diligence. Like if you want to be a millionaire, choose a millionaire coach. Like if you want to be a top salon owner, choose a top salon owner as a coach if you can find somebody who's doing it. There's a lot of people who can talk the talk, but really you want to find somebody who can walk the walk as well. And people that we use tend to really kind of do that. We invested a lot into it. One of your earlier questions was, how did we win the British Hairdressing Awards, the BHBA? And that was the same technique as we used for everything. A few years ago, I was cutting a guy called Stuart's hair. Came in, really interesting guy. And he said, you know what, I can get you to be wherever you want to be. And I was like, oh God, I've heard this before. And I was like, oh, okay, right. And it all sounded very American. He said, no, come on. And we had a few chats. And then I did his course. It's called Thinking into Results by a guy called Bob Proctor, who's an American guy. And I had weekly coaching with Stuart. And I was, at the time, I was a salon, like a graduate stylist, just I think I was probably about 6 months into my course. I was taking for the salon about £600-700 a week, and then all of a sudden I started doing the coaching, and halfway through all this thing changed in me. I stopped drinking, started exercising, and then my income doubled like that overnight. Yeah, people left the salon, and all of a sudden I became the top stylist, and I had to work really hard, and then got onto the L'Oreal ID artist team, and then I was on the Sean Hannah creative team with Skylar McDonald, which was just amazing. But each way there was something that was set in place, and that was a goal that that was just I was just out in the water far enough that my feet couldn't touch the floor. So every time I went to the ID artist, I was like, I felt out of my depth. Every time I was with Skylar, I felt out of my depth. But that's what we call perturbation, and that's where the growing happens. So every step of the way, when we won the L'Oreal Colour Trophy, it was a goal. And we would figure out, we write it down literally on a goal card. We won British Hairdressing Business Awards. Okay, right. And then sit there and literally just think, how did we do it? Rather than thinking, if we want to win the British Hairdressing Awards, let's do this. If If you thought about how to do it step by step along the way, you just wouldn't do it. If you thought about, I want to set up a salon, if you knew all the stages, like if you knew about the three-phase electric and all the power and the size of the boiler that you need and everything like that, you wouldn't do it. You've got to focus on, I want a salon. I want it to be the best salon in the UK, or whatever. That's exactly what we said. We don't just want a salon. We want it to be the best salon in it. Well, we said Bristol, but it ended up being the UK. So we want to have the best salon in Bristol. We want to have the best salon in Bristol. We want to have the best salon in Bristol. And we say it enough, like Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. You say it and say it and say it and say it. And then all of a sudden, it's funny how it happens, because you start figuring it out and working out from backwards. So, yeah, so I'd say you really do want to select a good coach, somebody who really understands that. And then it can work on the smallest level. So I want to get a nice car, or I want to live in a house with three kids and a nice garden or whatever, to I want to win a British Hairdressing Award, or I want to make this much money, blah blah blah. But the goal never changes, and all of a sudden the things that seem so big when you're trying to work forwards, like the boilers broke down, we've run out of water, things like that, it doesn't necessarily seem so big, because you've got your goal to work towards, or someone says something to you, someone's got something negative to say to you, you think you have to check in with your goal, not their belief. Things like that is so we set some big, we call them BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, and then we break them down into smaller, digestible chunks. We say, how do you eat? What's the saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, I think, isn't it? So we get the elephant, and then we take it in chunks, and it's a good way of dealing with it.
That's great advice, Noel. And I guess it links into that quote, doesn't it, about life starting outside of your comfort zone, and that all of the coaching that you've invested in is helping you to get to that point where you're growing as a business in yourselves and in your business as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're seeing a return on your investment. It is like, because you're going to play a short-term game and the long-term game, like short-term pain for long-term gain. Investment, we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, but it does pay off. Like we wouldn't be in this position unless we'd done the training. And sometimes it's like they say about okay, yeah, it's not comfortable to pay that money out, but is it more uncomfortable to be poor than it is to be wealthy or rich, or actually having that bit of money in the bank? Sometimes money is seen as a dirty word, but actually it's not. It's just a return on what you've already put your time into and your own finances. So yeah, that's business.
Definitely. Well, I know you don't want to give away all your secrets and give too many people a super quick shortcut, but maybe you'd be able to share with us what you've invested in over the past few months from lockdown, and indeed over the past few months while you've been open as well, that you feel has really been worth it.
Yeah, so the three main areas, obviously we've got coaching, marketing and recruitment, which might seem a bit backwards in coming forwards to be recruiting a new team straight off the cuff of lockdown and everything. But actually, like Noel was saying, if you can test and measure, see what's working for you and see what's not, we're always looking at the bigger picture, and this will end at some point, whether it's in 6 months, a year, like longer than that, always thinking about strengthening our position past this. So I always used to see marketing as an expense, because we were never testing and measuring what it was looking like. It just seemed like extra money going out of the door. Whereas seeing what's happening, and we're still building systems so that we can monitor this properly. But yeah, I think the key thing, getting your head around that and investing in yourself, investing in knowledge, like anything you ever need to learn in life, someone's already done it and someone's written a book about it. So you can't just sit and read books and not take any action, because then you'd be really clever, but you never actually get anywhere in life. But to take information from people that know what they're talking about, not to take opinions from people that are worried. Obviously, emotions are heightened at the moment, but being able to have a bit of a protective shield around yourself and bat that off, and take in as much energy and information, good energy and information as possible. Invest in yourself, invest in marketing, invest in knowledge, whether that comes through books, coaches, whatever it is that you need, and invest in your team, because they're the ones that are going to look after the business like long term, and they're looking after the clients, and the clients look after the business. So it's this full cycle that kind of goes round. But yeah, getting an understanding of what your business is, being able to take a back seat, get your own mind in check rather than all the stress and anxiety that swirls around, especially at the moment, and look at the business from a bird's eye view and see what it needs to grow to the next level. Marketing, team, yourself.
Brilliant. And it's interesting there that you said that you've been growing your team since you reopened after lockdown, because that's quite an interesting point to make, isn't it? The fact that you've decided to grow and expand your business as opposed to kind of rein everything in and look at every sort of penny. What was your thinking behind that one?
Well, that's when we went into lockdown. That was the first thought that came into my head. Opportunity. Where's the opportunity? What is it? Okay, this is a sad thing to say, but there's going to be a lot of the businesses who are in trouble this time next year or now running on, because they businesses don't go bust because they run out of money. Businesses go bust because they of lack of knowledge. They don't invest time into themselves and understanding and surround themselves with the right people. So so growing the team was, well, I mean, we don't have 1% of the market share in Bristol of clients who are in our age bracket, so we've got room to grow. So go hard or go home with the marketing, and then make sure we got the right team to be able to deal with that. Yes, the utilization needs to be up, but again, it's seeing the return on it. So the money might not come back straight away, but if we're creating, Corey's got a really good saying about taking a seed and planting it in your garden, or whether you take an oak tree and kind of plonk it, the roots are always going to be much stronger if you take the seed and grow internally. So that takes time. So if we've got a 10-year goal, 5-year goal, we've got to understand that when we put it in now, it'll come back to us 5 years down the line. So we thought, well, things happened. We had a cracked window in the salon. A wall was built up to the window. We had to replace the window, so we took the wall down, and then we ended up we had an extension. Instead of having a beauty room, we opened it up for hair. So we got extra stations. We went from 8 stations to 13, and now we started off, as I say, with 3 of us in the salon, to 4. Now I think there's 12 of us maybe. So yeah, I mean, like, as one of our coaches says, go in gangbusters. Just got to go for it. Like, go hard or go home. Sometimes you've got to run faster just to stand still. Obviously you've got to be clever about it, and that's where Corey's really good about it. I'd be like, let's get a team in, let's do this, let's bam 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 bam, and she's like, well, have you thought about this? And that's really good. So I kind of drag it along, create a goal. She's puts it all into some kind of logical order. But the team we've got are fantastic. I mean, we're actually really quite wary about putting people in that aren't, like, it's surrounded by idiots is great because you can see who's going to fit well with who. And the team we've got are just absolutely brilliant. Everybody gets on with everybody. We've retained all the team. And it's just such a beautiful, light, bright working environment. It was one of the things that we kept saying, wasn't it, Corey, when we first started, that we just wanted to create a nice working environment, because if the team are happy, then the clients are going to be happy. And it just it's just a nice place to be. We don't look for, even in the most stressful times, we never don't look forward to coming to work. We're always excited to be here.
Which is amazing. And I can see we've got some of your team tuning in, so I hope I don't miss anyone, but they're sharing a lot of love for you as being such amazing bosses. Liz, Marika, Danielle and Chloe. I don't know if I've missed anyone there. I'm sorry if I have, but they've all sent individual messages saying how amazing you guys are and how much they love working with you. So
cheers, guys. You're great too. We love you.
And it was fascinating there what you were saying about a broken window turning into you expanding more seats within the salon. And I guess that is the whole idea, isn't it? The fact that you take the time to do the research, to put your coaching in practice and all of your reading in practice, to think about how can you turn a problem into a solution.
Yeah, broken windows have been a good thing for us, actually. Not long after we first opened, we had a bit of damage to a window, and we came up with this concept. Long story short, we stuck a tennis ball to it, cut a tennis ball in half and stuck it to either side, and we're on a main road, a massive glass front shop, and the amount of people that stopped and were fascinated, they thought that the ball was stuck in the glass. And actually this just goes to, like, how do you, like, where do your ideas come from? They just come from an idea, but actually not just thinking, oh, it's an awful thing, we've got a bit of damage, we need to do this. It's actually really good. Like, everyone in the salon loved it, thought it was hilarious. Everyone walking past, they stopped and came into the salon to ask about it. And it's just being clever with what you're doing, taking a really rubbish situation and turning it on its head and using it to your advantage. And that's kind of where our heads are at with COVID. We can't change it, so let's see how we can extract the good parts of it and make us stronger from it.
100%. I'm just going to read a few things that we've had from a few different people. We will have to wrap up shortly. I knew this session would completely overrun because there was so much to talk about. So we've had I hope I'm saying this right, Tamoy saying, I respect you guys, top fan. Hi Noel and Corey. Catherine Warbridge has said Corey and Noel invest massively in the people that they work with. The difference in their apprentices over the course of time due to commitment and training from them both has been incredible. And Denise Dot has said her and her sister have worked together for 39 years and they are very different. She's the paper person and her sister is the hairdresser. They both have meetings with each other and the staff, which is very key to informing what is happening in the business. That's what we were talking about earlier, about working in partnership. And you never stop learning in a business, which gives you the buzz in your salon. Never be frightened to try new things, which is fantastic. And I guess, I mean, there's a lot of kind of excitement and vibrancy going on in terms of the comments that we're receiving, which is amazing. And I guess as we do wrap up, maybe you can both just share your final insights with anyone who's tuning in about how to grow a business, whether it is a new business or whether it is an existing business during these difficult times, during the pandemic that we're going through and beyond. Like, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everyone tuning in?
I'd just like to say that that sometimes if you think about what you need and what you want, they're two very different things. If you think about what you need, it indicates that there's a limited resource of finance or clients or what have you. Realistically, maybe clients, but there's an unlimited supply of money floating around. All we're doing is just trying to get our hands on it. The money, if you're a stylist, your money doesn't come from your employer, it comes through your employer. And that comes through the clients to you. And where does that come from? It comes from their employers to them. So understanding that that there's not a limited supply. So you can literally have anything that you want if you know what it is that you want. So investing time into what you want and not thinking about what you need is a really, really powerful exercise. Need almost makes you feel, if you catch yourself saying, yeah, but we need another stylist, we need this, we need that, it's almost a bit greedy in a way. It feels like we need it. It's panic and it's reactive. Whereas if you think about what you want, this is our goal, we want this many salons, we want this much money, we want this much team, this is what we want, and sit down and actually start drawing it out, write out exactly what it is that you want, you can start figuring it out in a much lighter way. So separate your needs from what you want would be my my main thing.
Amazing. Corey, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so just add on, there's a saying, a wise man once told me that if your why is strong enough, you'll endure any amount of how. So if you know why you're doing what you're doing and what it is that you want to achieve from it, it doesn't matter what obstacles are in your way because you'll find a way around it. So always coming back to that, and as Noel's we're both actually big fans of Simon Sinek. I've got to start with why book, just chilling on the side. But actually understanding your why, and it doesn't need to be your purpose in life, but what do you want your life to look like? Whether that's successful business owner, whether that's, you know, family man or woman or whatever it is, know what it is that you're going for. And when you're getting stressed, you're getting anxious, you're getting overwhelmed, tune back in with that. And always be thinking of the bigger thing. You're always evolving, you're always growing, and no matter how much it hurts, every time you're faced with an obstacle or a problem, you do get through it. Like, even in the midst of it, when you can't see a way out, it does pass. So it's just like Noel mentioned about cultivation earlier, you're just leveling up. So key top tips, I guess, would be remember your why and your what. Like, what do you want, why do you want it, and just keep on going at it until you get there, really. And yeah, look after yourselves.
Fantastic. And we've had more love in the room. Julie is saying excellent advice. Rick and Roberts wants to say how proud he is of you guys.
Good guy, Rick. Love you, Rick.
I know we didn't get a chance to go through all of the books that you guys had in front of you. Would you be able to maybe lift them up? So for anyone who wanted to get a bit of inspiration for their
this one didn't go. Any salon owner, this is the very first one that we read, the E-Myth Revisited. Corey touched on it earlier about if you're in any trade whatsoever, whether it's hairdressing, plumber, whatever, at some point you would have been really good at what you do, and somebody would have said, you're so good at it, why make money for somebody else? But actually this book explains exactly what happens afterwards and how you end up working more hours and earning less money than your team. And once you read that book, it will change your kind of opinion. So anybody who's thinking about going into business, or anybody who is in business, this is a really great book. Yeah.
Amazing. The E-Myth.
Nice. So I just said about start with why. Anything by Simon Sinek, even a YouTube video, just listen to what the man has to say, because it's genius. From a marketing perspective as well, start with why is really good. Making sure that you're not selling a haircut, you're selling something else, and it needs to be your thing. Do you know what I mean? So making someone feel great, or the service you deliver, whatever it is, you're selling from that, and you're just being more clever about what you're doing, basically, and it keeps you on track with where you're at and where you're going. And also eat that frog, which is a really, really, really great one for time management. If you're anything like me and you write lists and they never get completed, and you set yourself 29 things to do in a 4-hour window, and then you beat yourself up for not getting it done, eat that frog is a real game changer. Being able to map out your days before, so that you can have, you know, a good night's sleep, rather than dwelling on all the things you have to try and get done tomorrow. And yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but eating the biggest frog first. So the horriblest thing you need to get done in your day, get it done first. Don't busy yourself doing things just the little things that you can do quickly that make you feel good because you put a tick next to a box, or the stuff you enjoy doing. Put the most important thing at the top of your list and get that out of the way first.
Amazing. Well, I have to say, this has been a super positive, inspiring session to start the week with, and I'm sure everyone tuning in, from all of the comments we've had, I can see that they feel exactly the same. So thank you so much for dedicating your time to do this session with us. And for anyone who's tuning in, is there any way that if anyone had any specific questions that we didn't manage to get to, or wanted to ask you any specific questions from a business point of view after this, is there any way they'd be able to get hold of you both?
Yeah, please pop it into contact@nocohair.com.
Yeah,
for the attention of Corey and Noel.
Perfect.
yeah, or
Yeah, we'd like to say
Instagram follow and drop us a message on there, and then we'll be able to get back to you straight away.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think there might well be a few people who just want a reminder on some of those books that you've been sharing with us, as well as all of the words of wisdom that you've been offering to us this morning. So thank you so much to you both. As I say, a really great way to start the week. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you to you and Jane and everyone at HJ, and thanks to our clients who've made it. I think there's a few clients tuning in today who've really kept it going, kept us together, because without their support and sharing things and buying the gift cards and coming in to support us, we wouldn't be who we are. And our team have just been sensational. They came back from all pumped up, kept in really good contact with us throughout lockdown, and yeah, we're a proud mum and dad of the salon now.
And from your team members who have been tuning in, I can see that they're proud children as well. So thank you so much again, Cole and Noel, Corey and Noel from Noco Hair. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Amazing. Thank you.
Speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.